Hello everyone, my name is Asyrafchazz and welcome back to yet another One Piece card game video. So in the previous video we talked about every single one of the red cards from the main set OP-01 Romance Dawn. And now we're moving on to the green cards. And there are some really strong ones in green that work really well with some new leaders, especially the Oden leader. So I'm excited to talk about all of them in this video. Well, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like and subscribing if you want to keep up to date with more One Piece card game content, because on the 22nd of July, which is happening real soon, we'll be opening our first ever booster box of OP-01 Romance Dawn, and I'm excited to share that opening with every single one of you on this channel. Well, without further ado, let's talk about all the green cards coming from OP-01 Romance Dawn. Alright, so today we are going to be taking a look at the green cards. I've set it all to green. This is from the official One Piece card game website, and let's take a look at all of the green cards. We already talked about all the green leaders in other videos, so you can go to the channel and check it out. But let's start with my main man Ashura Doji right here. So Ashura Doji is 3 cost, 4000 power with the slasher attribute with counter 1000, part of the Land of Wano and the Akazaya 9. And his effect is Dawn 1. If your opponent has 2 or more rested characters, this character gains plus 2000 power. So I think this card is actually really good. I mean, at the cost of only 1 Dawn, you can potentially have up to like 7000 power if your opponent has 2 or more rested characters. But of course, you know, having the opponent's character be rested, that's one thing. But you will tend to see a lot of themes coming from the Akazaya 9 cards where they are resting your opponent's character. So Ashura Doji works really well in that type of strategy as well, because you can, if like, let's say another card rests one of your opponent's character cards, and then you just have a powered up Ashura Doji that can attack into your opponent's characters. I think this card is really great, especially in the Oden deck, and I can't wait to see how many you probably be running. I think a playset is a good number, because it is quite a decent stat line as well. 3 cost, 4000 power is pretty good, and it just has a lot of potential. That's the thing. Alright, next up we have Izo. Izo is 3 cost, 3000 power with a range attribute with counter 2000, so it's really good. And Izo's ability is on play, rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. So like I said, it works really well with Ashura Doji that we saw, because Izo can rest your opponent's characters, and if your opponent has 2 rested characters, then Ashura Doji has the buff. But this card is really good at getting around blockers as well. As long as it's 4 or less, you can rest it and then you can go attack into your opponent. I think the green cards, when it comes to like the Akazaya, or at least like the Wano cards, they work really well together. And yeah, Izo is good. Of course, like being at 3000, you might need to put some Dawns on Izo to go above the 5000 power stat line, but Izo has 2000 counter, so definitely useful in a deck as well. Alright, next we have Inuarashi. 3 cost, 4000 power, the slasher attribute with counter 1000, part of the Ming's Land of Wano and Akazaya 9. And his effect is Dawn 2. When attacking, set one of your Dawn cards as active. So another strong card from the whole Wano Akazaya 9 card line. Of course, you need to put 2 Dawns to Inuarashi for the effect to activate, which is okay. I think it's fine, because, you know, works well with Oden's ability. You can discard a Wano card to put 2 Dawns to active, and you can put it on Inuarashi, attack, and then set one of your Dawns as active. So there's a lot of like engines that are being like, they keep rolling with each other, and it's really quite good. So I quite like Inuarashi, and I think there are potential to like just attack, have one of your Dawns as active again, and then use Oden's ability. It just works so well together. The synergistic abilities that the Wano or the Akazaya 9 have with each other are great, and I'm glad they are being shown some love right now. Super good. Next up we have Okiku. Okiku is 3 cost, 5000 power with the slasher attribute, part of the Land of Wano and Akazaya 9. And her ability is Dawn 1. When attacking once per turn, arrest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So Okiku is so strong. 3 cost and 5000 power is a very good stat line. Maybe that's why she doesn't have the counter 1000. And like when you attack and you just need 1 Dawn attached to Okiku, you can rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So you can attack into your opponent's like leader, So you target your opponent's leader or like one of your opponent's rested characters, and if your opponent has a blocker on the field that you just don't want to deal with, you can rest it so your attacks will go through, or you can rest a problematic character on your opponent's side of the field and then have another character or your leader attack into that one. So Okiku definitely really strong and works really well with Kinemon, which we'll talk about later on. But I really like Okiku. I think definitely needs a playset as your kind of main 3-drop 5000 power attacker. Really good card. Next we have Otsuru, 1 cost 3000 power with the counter 1000. You know, it's just your 1 cost vanilla, so let's move on. Next is Kawamatsu. Kawamatsu is 2 cost 3000 power with a slasher attribute with counter 1000 with the triggered ability to play this card. This is okay, I guess. I mean, there are some decks who might want to have triggered play this card, but for it being vanilla, I think it's probably won't be included in many decks moving forward. But the artwork, super sick. Next up we have Kanjuro, 2 cost 3000 power, the slasher attribute with counter 1000, part of the line of Wano and Akazaya 9. And Kanjuro's effect is Dawn 1 when attacking, KO one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost 2 or less. So let's stay here first. And okay, it's decent, but it only affects your opponent's rested characters and it's only cost 2 or less, so it's very specific. There are definitely some cases, you know, like the super rare Luffy, after it attacks, Kanjuro can effectively KO it without even having to attack into it. But his second ability is on KO, your opponent chooses 1 card from your hand and trash that card. So with that ability alone, or at least that KO ability, do not play Kanjuro, man. Do not play Kanjuro. That downside is just so bad for you, because like you are literally giving up 1 card from your hand if this guy dies. And you know, it's not good. It's not good at all. Well, it's kind of apt that Kanjuro doesn't actually have a good ability, but you know, we are getting ahead of ourselves. I don't wanna say anything about it, but okay, let's move on. Don't play Kanjuro, let's move on. Next up is Killer. So Killer is 2 cost 2000 power, the slasher attribute with counter 1000, part of the Supernovas and Kid Pirates, and his effect is Blocker, and his ability is Dawn 1 on block. If you have 3 or more characters, draw 1 card. So I wasn't sure if this card was good, but after playing like the green starter deck and playing with like Urok, which needs like 3 characters or more to get that additional boost in power, so you are able to get 3 characters easily in this game. You know, your 1 cost blocker, your 1 cost like a searcher like Jewelry, Bonnie, and then you have Killer to be another blocker and only need to attach 1 Dawn to Killer. I think this card is actually really good. It gives you a lot of advantages. Like if it dies, you draw 1. That's such a great effect. And as an early blocker, this card is great too. I think there might be a dedicated green Supernova shell that utilizes like the 1 cost beige blocker, 1 cost Jewelry Bonnie, and then this 2 cost Killer as like your early game, and then you can just kind of stall until like your kid is ready to swing in for the kill. I'm actually excited to kind of make a list around that, but it's still kind of early. I prefer like getting the physical cards before I start really making lists, but I really like Killer. I think it's a very powerful card. Alright, next is the super rare Kinemon. So Kinemon is 6 cost, 6000 power, the slasher attribute, and part of the Land of Wano and Akazaya 9. And his effect is on play, if your leader is Kozuki Oden, play 1 the Akazaya 9 type character card with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. And his second ability is Dawn 1 when attacking once per turn, set 1 of your the Akazaya 9 type character cards with a cost of 3 or less as active. This card is insanely strong. You are getting a 2-for-1 with the only cost of 6. You play Kinemon, you can play like an Okiku down as well. And then once like they are all set up, you can attack with Okiku, rest something, you attack with Kinemon, and then you unrest Okiku, and then you can attack again. It is so good and they work so well together. I think Kinemon, if you're definitely going to play Oden, Kinemon is something that you need to get at least a playset of. You might not play all of 4 of them. You might only play 3 because it's like 6 costs, but I still think that Kinemon is extremely powerful. definitely need to play Kinemon in a dedicated like Oden deck list. I don't know how much Kinemon will cost, and I'll probably want to try to make a list that does not include any super rares. But if you're keen on just playing Oden, then Kinemon is definitely your guy. Alright, next up we got Kozuki Momonosuke. 1 cost with the slasher attribute, 0 power, by the way, with counter 1000, a part of the land of Wano and Kozuki clan. So his effect is activate main, pay 1, and then you may rest this character. Look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck, reveal 1 Land of Wano type card and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So this is the Jewelry Bonnie for the dedicated Oden deck. The fact that the Oden deck, the Akazaya 9 Land of Wano Kozuki Oden deck has a dedicated searcher means this is an archetype that's definitely going to exist, and Kozuki Momonosuke is something that you would probably need to get a playset of if you're intending to play the deck. Now, the thing is, we are currently in Wano, and because this is the first set, I don't think we'll be going back to Wano anytime soon in the next couple of sets. I might be wrong, but they'll probably like share some love with all the previous arcs, because you know set 2 is Marineford, then maybe the other sets will be all the other arcs. We won't be going back to Wano so soon. But if there ever was any Land of Wano type cards in the future, then Kozuki Momonosuke just gets even better. So definitely get a playset of this kind of card and keep it around so that you have the option to play any Land of Wano type decks in the future. Next we got Komo Rasaki, 1 cost, 0 power with a wisdom attribute with counter 1000, part of the Land of Wano and also Kozuki clan, and her ability is on play, pay 3 Dawn. That means you must rest the 3 Dawn. If your leader is Kozuki Oden, set one of your Land of Wano type characters with a cost of 3 or less as active. So this is okay. It basically grants you an additional attack when it comes to one of your 3 cost characters, especially the ones with the Land of Wano trait. However, you are paying 1 for Komo Rasaki, and then you're paying an additional 3. So you're paying 4 in total just to have an additional attack. So in some situations, that might be really useful, especially we have something like Okiku on the side of the field. But I mean, you already have Kinemon for that, and Kinemon is definitely a stronger card. I have to see whether Komo Rasaki would kind of make her way into a deck list. Will people play this? I'm not sure. Right now, I'm kind of evaluating her as sort of like a B tier, closer to C. But I might be wrong. There might be cases where you want like 4 for in a deck just to get an additional attack. So we'll have to see in the future. Next up, we got Shinobu, 3 cost, 5000 power with a special attribute and counter 1000. This is the 3 cost vanilla of the green deck, and yeah, that zoom in face. Perfect. Beautiful. Alright, next. Alright, next we have Shachi. Shachi is a 3 cost, 4000 power with a striker attribute and counter 1000, part of the Heart Pirates, and he has blocker, and his ability is on play. If you don't have Penguin, play 1 Penguin from your hand. So we've already talked about Shachi and Penguin in a previous video, I think a few weeks back or even a couple of months ago, where Shachi is really great. I mean, if you have Shachi and Penguin in your hand, you can just play it out, kind of stall out the wall, have a wall a little bit, stall out your opponent with blockers, and then you can trying to go to your bigger plays there. I think Shachi is definitely a solid blocker. He is like a B tier or A tier blocker, but with Penguin in your hand, it definitely gets even better. So there you go. Next we have Jean Bart, 4 cost, 6000 power, striker attribute with counter 1000. So this is the 4 cost vanilla for green. Okay, decent. Moving on. Next we have Denjiro. Denjiro is 5 cost, 7000 power with a slasher attribute with no counter, part of the Land of Wano and Akazaya 9, and his ability is Dawn 1. When attacking, if your leader is Kozuki Oden, set up to 2 of your Dawn's cards as active. So this card is extremely strong. This is like an A or S tier card for me, because like you can attack with Denjiro and then you can have 2 Dawn as active. You can use Kozuki Oden's ability to kind of discard a Wano type card from your hand and get another 2 Dawn. So you can keep extending your plays and kind of be very efficient with your Dawn, or even like attack with Denjiro, hold up 2 Dawn to use your event cards in case on your opponent's turn, in case your opponent attacks. So Denjiro, definitely a very strong card. Definitely works well with all the other Akazaya 9 as well. I'm so happy that they have a dedicated like archetype that we can play with. It's so good. Alright, next up we got the Trafalgar Law, 5 cost 6000 power with the Slasher attribute. No counters, but part of the Supernovas and Heart Pirates, meaning you can search Trafalgar Law out with Jewelry Bonnie. He has blocker, and his abilities on play. You may return one character to your hand, then play one character card with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. This card is great if you're intending to play Red Green Law, even like the Red Green Luffy. This is a definite must-have because you can like return your 1 cost character cards that you can rest Jewelry Bonnie. You use ability, so she's rested. Play Trafalgar Law, return Jewelry Bonnie back to your hand, and play like a 3 cost 5000 Rush Zoro or another 3 cost like blocker, and just go from there. Trafalgar Law is extremely strong, and of course, if you are going for a dedicated Red Green Law build, there's a lot of combos you can do with this guy. So definitely pick up a playset of Trafalgar Law if you can. I know it's a super rare, so I'm not sure how the pricing will be. We'll find out more when the card list is officially out. But there you go, Trafalgar Law, definitely must have. And if you can pick up the alternate art, definitely spring for that because it looks really good. Alright, next is Neko Mamushi, 2 cost 3000 power, the Slasher attribute with the counter 1000, part of the Minx, Lena Wano and Akazaya 9. And his effect is on play, rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. So this is also another really good card. You can on play, you can rest like a, let's say, one of your opponent's blockers or one of your opponent's problematic threats that you can attack into. It's like Straw Sword, but it's on a body, so it's really good. And if there's a way that you can boost Neko Mamushi's attack, you can comfortably attack into your opponents as well. So definitely useful card. Next we have Beppo, 4 cost 4000 power with the Striker attribute with counter 2000, so that's great. Part of the Minx and Heart Pirates, and his ability is Dawn 1. When attacking, play 1 Heart Pirates type card other than Beppo with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. Very good card. I think it's very strong. You know, you put 1 Dawn on him, attack into your opponents. You can play like the 4 cost vanilla Jean Bart, or you can play like one of your Penguins or Shachis as an additional blocker. So definitely an efficient card to have on your side of the field. I wonder if there's a dedicated like Heart Pirates deck. I'm not sure because I have not really seen like all the full list yet. But hey, I really love this artwork as well. People surprisingly quite strong. Next is the Shachi counterpart Penguin, 3 cost 2000 power, the Striker attribute with counter 1000, part of the Heart Pirates with blocker, and on play, if you don't have Shachi, play 1 Shachi from your hand. So if you have Shachi in your hand when you play Penguin, then these cards get even better. If not, they're just like okay, but they're solid, decent blockers as well. So there you go. Alright, now let's talk about Eustace Captain Kid. So Kid is 8 cost, 8000 power, the special attribute, and part of the Supernovas and Kid Pirates, and his ability is Dawn 1. On your opponent's turn, if this character is rested, your opponent cannot attack any character other than Eustace Captain Kid. And activate main once per turn, you may rest this character, play 1 character card with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. So first ability, first of all, important number, he is an 8 cost, so that means blue cannot return him with Doflamingo, cannot return him with Sables. So this is your boss monster for green, definitely. 8 cost, 8000, this card is really strong. And yeah, if you rest this guy and you can play a character card with a cost of 3 or less from your hand for free, super good. I mean, like, if your opponent has any rested like characters, you can play a killer from the starter deck that can destroy a rested one of your opponent rested characters with cost of 3 or less. So that's something as well. You can play a free blocker in the form of like Penguin or Shachi, or even like the 2 cost Kid, even the 2 cost Killer. And like, if this character is rested, your opponent cannot attack any other character except for him, and him being like 8000 power is very difficult for your opponent to properly attack into. You know, your opponent can still attack your leader, that's for sure, but this card is like, it really, okay, like now that I'm thinking about it, it really plays along his Devil Fruit ability, where he's being like the attraction. Like his ability is like attraction, right? Attraction or repel or magnetism, and this is exactly it. It's like you're attracting all your opponent's characters to attack Captain Kid. So cool. That's so cool how they did that, and I really like this card. Definitely a must-have if you're thinking about playing green. I think even in like a dedicated Oden deck, this card would still have some use because there's a lot of powerful 3-cost like Akazaya 9 cards that you can play off Eustace Kid's ability like Okiku, and yeah, I think he can be like the top end for an Oden deck. That's pretty cool. Alright, next up we have Ryzo, 3-cost, 4000 power with the slasher attribute, counter 1000, part of the land of Wano and Akazaya 9. When attacking once per turn, if you have 2 or more rested characters, draw 1 card. So definitely very strong. I mean, if you're playing like a green deck with like you know, if you're playing like green deck with Jewelry Bonnie, even the Eustace Kid that we talked about, you can just attack with Ryzo and then draw a card. So he's not like shoehorn into that Akazaya 9 strategy. He can be in a dedicated green deck as well. So I think Ryzo is actually really strong. You don't even need to attach Dawn to him for the ability to be activated. You just need 2 or more rested characters. And the thing is, it counts itself. So when you're attacking, you have rested Ryzo, the ability will trigger, and then it will check for the 2 rested characters. So one of them is direct Ryzo, and you just need 1 more. It's such a good ability. So Ryzo definitely one of the stronger cards in green right now. At least one of the more strongest uncommon for green. Next up we have Wire, 2-cost, 4000 power with the slasher attribute and part of the counter 1000, and he's part of the Kid Pirates. So before this I didn't even know who Wire was. I guess I'm not that familiar with the members of the Kid Pirates. Same reason why I wasn't sure who Heat was. But yeah, this is your vanilla 2-cost, so there you go. Alright, next up we have yet another X-Drake card. How many X-Drake cards are we gonna get? I don't know. But X-Drake is 5-cost, 6000 power with the slasher attribute, with counter 1000, part of the Supernovas, Navy, and Drake Pirates. And his effect is on play, KO one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 4 or less. So definitely a very strong card. And you can use it in with like a deck that you can even use it with the Akazaya 9 deck with like Okiku that can rest like your opponent's characters. If you have Straw Sword in your hand, you can rest and then you can kill it with X-Drake. Very efficient card, and the stat line at like 6000 power at being at 5-cost with this kind of strong ability, definitely really strong. No wonder he's a rare. I like X-Drake. Bring on more X-Drake cards, man. We need more. Alright, next up we're at the event card. So this event card is called You Can Be My Samurai. So 1-cost event card, part of the land of Wano and Kozuki clan. As the ability is main, you may rest 2 of your characters, draw 2 cards. Yep, this card's good. I don't know how many you'll be playing though, because you have to rest your characters. But let's say you have like a Kinemon on your side of the field, or you can have something that can make your characters active again. You know, you can just rest them with this card, draw 2 cards, and then like unrest them and attack again. So this card is actually really useful. Not to mention it's Chad Oden himself on the artwork. So I really like this card. I think this card is like good card draw, you know, and you can even rest like character cards that you potentially might not need, you know, like the utility stuff, and then you just rest those characters, draw 2 cards, and if your opponent attacks into those characters, so be it. It's a really good card. I think this card is very strong in Akazaya 9 card deck. It's like dedicated card draw, so very good. Alright, next up is Demon Face, 6-cost event card for Supernovas and Hawkins Pirates, and ability is main, KO 2 of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 5 or less. Wow, this is actually a really expensive event card, and you need your 2 of your opponent's rested, 2 of your opponent's characters to be rested and to have a cost of 5 or less. But if you manage to KO 2 of your opponent's characters with this card, it's gonna feel so good. The thing is, I don't know how highly you'll be rating it. I think it's maybe about a B tier because there's a lot of things that you have to do to kind of make it work. But when you do, it gets really good. So there you go. Alright, next up is Paradise Waterfall, 1-cost event card, part of the land of Wano and Kozuki clan. So the counter ability, so this is a 1 event counter. Your leader or one of your characters gain plus 2000 power during this battle, then set one of your characters as active. So definitely a really strong counter card. I mean, plus 2000 is nothing to write home about. But the ability to make one of your characters active again, maybe it's a blocker that has already blocked, or it's a character that you don't want your opponent to be attacking into. So definitely really quite strong. And the trigger ability is KO one of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 4 or less. So definitely really strong. Your opponent attacks into your life, you trigger this off your life, you just get a free KO, or not a free KO, but yeah, technically it's a free KO as long as they have a rested character with a cost 4 or less. I think this card is really strong. And yeah, I think I might see myself playing like 4 of these. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Alright, we've seen this event card. This is Punk Gibson 2-cost event card. Part of Supernovas and Kid Pirates with counter. Your leader or one of your characters gains plus 4000 power during this battle. Then rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost 4 or less. Triggered ability is rest one of your opponent's characters. This card is extremely good. I think it's good at kind of stalling your opponent's attacks. Let's say they have like 2-3 characters that can attack, and yeah, you counter the first attack, you rest another one, and you're golden. And the trigger ability also does come in handy. If you are facing lethal, you can suddenly rest one of your opponent's characters, not leaders by the way, just the characters, and it might save you from dying. So definitely a really strong event card. And next we have Benven. I don't know what that means. Next we have Benven, a 3-cost event card, part of the Land of Wano, and ability is main. You may trash one Land of Wano type card from your hand, set one of your Land of Wano type characters with a cost of 3 or less as active. So you can see like the synergy between all the Wano / Akazaya 9 type strategy, where you can like trash you use this, you trash out Land of Wano type card from your hand, and then you can attack again with a Land of Wano character that costs 3 or less. So I think this card will definitely see some play, or at least will have some use for it. Although, you know, some of the other cards already have that strong effect built in of like making your opponents, your characters active. So definitely have to see how many of these you will run, if you run any at all. Last but not least, we have the secret rare Yamato card. 5-cost, 5000 power, the striker attribute with counter 1000 with the type Land of Wano. And this card is also treat this card's name as Kozuki Oden according to the rules. I think just this card's name is also treated as Kozuki Oden. And Yamato has double attack and banish. So double attack, this card deals 2 damage instead of 1 when you attack into your opponent's life, and banish is when this card deals damage, the target card is trashed without activated streak, or just the cards that are from the life will just go to the trash instead of the opponent's hand. So this is a very strong card, and the thing is, I'm worried because it's a secret rare, but it has such a strong ability. It's definitely one that you would want to play a playset of if you can, because the effect is just really strong. Your opponent has to really respect the fact that you will have Yamato, and I'm kind of worried because Yamato is extremely playable, but it's a secret rare, so I don't know how much it would be. And if there's like strong green decks out there that want to play for Yamato, then that's gonna be an expensive deck for sure. But Yamato is definitely one of the best cards in the game right now. I think it's really strong. The only issue is that it's a secret rare, so the prices might be very high. So if you're planning to play a dedicated green deck, you know, and you don't want to spring too much money on Yamato, you know, don't worry, there are plenty of other options that you can substitute Yamato with. Yamato is like just a great option to have. But if you don't have it, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other great cards that you can have in this deck instead. I mean, if you don't have Yamato, you can even just replace it with Basil Hawkins from the starter deck, so you're all good on that front. And there you have it, every single one of the green cards from OP-01 Romance Dawn. I think I'm really excited about green. There's a lot of synergy between all the Akazaya 9, and the Oden deck looks to be a really cool deck to play in the future. I think besides the Baroque Works deck, the Kozuki Oden, Land of Wano, Akazaya 9 deck will definitely be really strong. It's also another Day Zero deck, but there are a lot of strong Supernova cards amongst green as well. So green is shaping up to be really good. Don't be worried if you don't have like 4 Yamatos. You can always substitute it with another card, but it's a if you have it, it's good. If not, okay, you know what, you can replace it. It's okay, it's alright. Don't need to spend so much money on this game just yet. But there you have it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you got it this far, thank you so much. I'll see you guys at the next one. We'll talk about blue and purple next. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.